Well, most Australians were horrified by the bizarre decision a couple of years ago to lease the port of Darwin, our most northerly port, to the Chinese, our most obvious northerly military threat. What could possibly go wrong? Now it appears we've leased a beautiful tropical Queensland island, or parts of it, Keswick Island, to a Chinese-owned developer, a company called China Bloom. Again, what could possibly go wrong? Keswick Island is leased, and as are most of the islands in Queensland are leased, and the residents of Keswick Island are subleases, so they have subleaseholds. But what has happened is they feel that the China Bloom has been closing down parts of the island, preventing them having access to parts of the island, and in many ways they are very upset. Craig, yesterday you had a demonstration on Australia Day. I guess you could call it Invasion Day for different reasons, but anyway. Tell us about your demonstration yesterday and what you are demanding of the Queensland government.
Yes, well, we had a very successful day yesterday, Ron. We had probably 40 to 50 boats come over from Mackay, probably 150 people all up, all in a peaceful protest on Australia Day in order for the Queensland government to uphold the conditions of the head lease and basically to get Keswick Island back to Australian ownership.
So tell us some of the things. You think that they have broken their lease by in different ways and that they're running down the island, and you want to know why, correct?
Well, let me just go right through the first two conditions of the head lease. And it states the lessee must use the leased land for commercial business purposes, being tourism, residential, marine, and aerodrome purposes. So let's start first with tourism. From the day they started, they shut the airstrip, which is how tourists get here, and they cancelled all the ability for anyone to rent their properties, which is on Airbnb. So that has cut tourism down to almost zero. The second thing, residential. They're doing the best they can to get rid of us residents by all sorts of conditions. And the next thing there is marine. Well, there is to be a public jetty and a public boat ramp. Now, that is adjacent to the airstrip, which they have fenced off and locked, and which it totally excludes this public facility. So the marine facility doesn't exist. And aerodrome purposes, as I said, it's closed down. So the four things that the head lease is for, they are not being used for. The second sentence of the lease states that the lease may be forfeited if not used for the purpose stated above. So our contention is, and there's obviously a huge following on to the ability for us to comfortably live here as residents. Our access has been cut off.
And Craig, you've said that basically if this were thank you for explaining that. You've said that if this were happening on the mainland of Queensland, there would be an outrage, and you want to know why. We're just running out of time, but when we spoke earlier, you want to know why the Queensland government is allowing this to happen. What is going on? You need answers from the Palaszczuk government. Craig, we'll leave it there.
Exactly.
Thanks so much for coming on, and keep up the fight, and Australians are behind you, and yes, those answers are needed. Craig Gillberd from Keswick Island, thanks so much for coming on Inside the News this evening. Thanks, mate.
Thanks very much, Ron. Much appreciated.